What are you running from? We're all accustomed to seek to escape from the many ways that we suffer in this life. But the Buddha teaches us that suffering is an inescapable part of life, be it arising from unrealized desires, from our own failures, from the pain of existence, from changes in our lives. As we all know, human beings like routines and we hate changes. Is it, be it from loneliness or fear or self doubt or the truth of our situation, be it in our own life or, for example, the truth of our situation here in the United States, where things are changing very rapidly and many people are being conditioned to fear the changes that are invariably going to ensue over the next couple of years. Personally, I've been trying to run from the myriad manifestations of suffering for my entire life, just as you have. We try to run from these things via a number of different methods that are quite effective at hampering our perception of suffering in a number of different ways, be it self-medicating with drugs or pornography or promiscuity or ideologies that help assuage us or pacify us from seeing the true realities of the world in which we live, be it escapism and video games and films and any number of things. There are any number of ways that we can escape or run from this suffering. Here in the West, particularly, the title of this video is called Somebody Warn the West. And by the way, if you didn't know already, welcome back to my channel. This is Forge and the Iceman. The title of this video is Somebody Warn the West. It's a clip from a Freddie Gibbs song. And particularly in the West, we are conditioned to, or matter of fact, our media presents us with numerous representations of how, or numerous representations and images glorifying the way people run from their suffering, try to escape their suffering, self-medicate, and things of this nature, be it in great films like The Wolf of Wall Street, or video games glorifying drug use or alcohol use, alcoholism, promiscuity. These are the ideals of our society. And they all come back to a core idea of running from the suffering that is a fundamental fact of our existence. The Bible says that man is cursed to toil, basically to make a living. We're cursed to have to work to live, right? And we're conditioned to run from the suffering of our lives. Me personally, I've been doing this my entire life in any number of ways, be it, seeking to escape the pain and the suffering of reality, of solitude, of trying to do something with my life. I've tried to escape it a number of ways, but it never seems to work, and it always seems to come back to understanding that there is no way to escape the suffering of life, be it old age. No matter how much we work out, we stay healthy, we will still get old and die. No matter how much we try to avoid the realities, they will still stare us in the face. No matter how many videos we watch on YouTube, no matter how many laughs we have, we all have to come back to this reality, no matter how many good times we have with friends. So what can we do? We can stop seeking to escape the suffering that is a fundamental aspect of our reality that is going to accompany us for the rest of our lives. There is no escaping this. It's like the saying, wherever you go, there you are. Suffering will always be with you. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to try to run, or are you going to stand and walk towards it? Because when we run from suffering, it only makes it worse when we have to face it. But if we accept that myriad forms of suffering are a fundamental part of our lives, we can begin to have more peace. We can begin to accept this sobering reality and face it with reason, with logic, with truth. Because the fact of the matter is that most of us are running from the truth of our nation, the truth of our lives. We may be unhappy people, we may be lonely people, we may have certain flaws. For example, my father was telling me the other day about how stubborn I am. And, I always hated hearing my parents tell me about my negative characteristics because they're the truth. And it is my negative characteristics that cause me to suffer. But it's when I deny them, when I deny these parts of myself, that I suffer even more. Because the suffering of ignorance is worse than the suffering of truth. When you suffer and bear the brunt of reality and accept the truth for what it is, you begin to be able to accept these things. Marcus Aurelius talks about how often pain and suffering is worse in our imagination than it is in real life. This is quite accurate because by running from something, we make it greater than what it is. But when we face it, for example, when we face our fears, we gain confidence. Yeah, we will have to suffer, but that is only temporary, just as everything is only temporary. And oftentimes, much of our suffering is derived from trying to hold on to things that are impermanent, because impermanence is fundamental. Nothing is forever. Our lives, our relationships, our happiness, nothing. So when we begin to accept rather than escape from this reality, which is what we're conditioned to do, we have so many avenues to escape from our reality. But instead of running from suffering, I challenge you to face the harsh truths of your life. Go towards these things, delve deep into them, and you'll come out the other end a better man, a better person. Don't run anymore. Are you going to run your entire life from the truth of your existence, or are you going to ante up and make the buck stop with you? Are you going to be the man who stepped up and faced the challenges of the day, or the man who took tail and ran away? Oftentimes, we don't really hear people talk about cowardice these days because I think a certain amount of cowardice has permeated our culture. We're afraid to talk about the truths of the world that we live in. We're afraid to talk about ourselves. We're afraid to tell our friends about the truths about them. We're afraid to accept the truths about ourselves. I've been guilty of this. We all are. We're all human. But it's not that fear that's the problem. It's trying to escape that fear. This is why, so many men find Batman to be so inspiring. Why? Because he didn't run from his fear. He looked into it. He looked it into the face. And he used it as a power. He used it as something with which he could channel his energy. He became something that he was afraid of, and he used it as a symbol to strike fear in the hearts of others, you know, evildoers. Now, it's very idealistic, but the point is, we value that character because it represents something heroic. There's a heroism in that, in facing one's fear and not turning from it, but wearing it on your chest. Now, I'm not going to talk much more, but just want to challenge you to stop running, you know, look at things for what they are, accept the suffering, and go forward. Peace out. Stay frosty.